Hi, I'm Robyn, and welcome to Well Conceived Business. We help online business owners within health and wellness to create a business and life that is not only well paid, but well lived. Here you'll find honest and refreshing conversations about what it takes to create a business around your life, what healthy hustle looks like, as well as insights and tips on growing your audience, your signature program, your profit, and your peace. Ready? Let's go. Still to this day, I look back on all of the different stages of the online business that I have had. And to date, the best time in my business has been the time when I have had one single online course that gave me so much time back in my day. Today, we are talking about 17 ways an online course will set you free. And I know that for many of you, you've had create an online course on your to-do list for the longest time, whether that's because you've been knee-deep in one-to-one and you are just feeling exhausted by it, whether that's because you have this allure of having an online program because you see so many other people having it. Maybe that's because you see the earning potential of a one-to-one program. Whatever it is, definitely listen to today's episode. And if you are also, though, someone who keeps thinking, I love an online course, but, or you've tried to have an online course and you're like, I tried having an online course, but, then still tune into this episode because I know that there's many of you who will think, oh, but I need to see my clients in person, but I can charge more for one-to-one services. Whatever it is, I really want to bust all of those myths in today's episode. And that is what we are going to do starting now. Here are 17 ways that creating and delivering an online course will set you free. Number one, you can serve more people in an online course than you would be able to in a one-to-one program. That stands to reason. You have the ability with an online course to essentially serve an unlimited number of people. Versus if you are providing one-to-one services, there is only so much of you that you can give. And I don't know about you, but maybe it's just me. But when I went into my business and I started thinking about like one-to-one services or even freelancing, in the back of your mind, you think to yourself that you've got 40 hours to give or whatever the time that you have to give is. But then you don't realize that it's like an iceberg. There is so much behind the scenes that has to happen. Your own marketing, your admin, your paperwork, your invoicing, reconciling in your accounting system, meetings, learning, all of these other things that need to happen in your business that your capacity drops really quite significantly. And no doubt you got into your online business because you wanted to make a change in the world. Well, you can do that on a much larger scale with an online course or a program. Because as I say, you can serve essentially an unlimited number of people because you can automate so much more of the teaching and the education. Number two, and this is massive for me because I live in Perth in Western Australia, basically one of the worst time zones for anything, is that you can serve people in different time zones in a time that is convenient for them. So for me, 9 a.m. my time is 9 p.m. in New York. Basically, by the time I've dropped my kids off at school, it's already 9 p.m. in New York, and 9 a.m. is like 2 a.m. in the United Kingdom. So that makes it really difficult for me to work with people one-to-one. So much so that I start work at 7 a.m., 2 to 3 days per week. Then I have sometimes this big gap in the middle of the day. And then before I see if I have like one-to-one clients, I have to work again a bit later. So it really doesn't suit my schedule if I want to have lots of one-to-one clients. And this is where I always come back to things like online courses because it gives me the ability to work in my hours, but it also gives my clients the ability to be able to watch at a time that's convenient for them. Maybe that's at the end of their lunch break. Maybe that's first thing in the morning for them while they're eating their breakfast. It could be any time. And that's not going to be, my time isn't impacted, their time isn't impacted by time zones. Number three, you can serve people at a variety of budget levels. So if you are only doing one-to-one services, it's obviously going to be and should be a premium offering because everything is personalized. Whereas if you have an online course and you might develop different pathways into that online course, and sometimes a pathway into your main online course looks like a $7 or a $27 offer. And so people who have the ability to then purchase the lower offers. So you have this ability to create other pathways into your online course or program that offers the ability to serve people at a variety of budget levels. Number four, this is for anyone who has done loads of one-to-one coaching. The formula you use after you've done a significant amount of one-to-one coaching or spoken to a lot of people, it kind of all starts to look the same after a while. So after a while, if you have niched down correctly and you are serving people at a particular level, you end up attracting people who are very, very similar, whose transformation and results follows a very similar pathway. You will have everybody, has unique little bits and pieces, but by and large, there will come a time if you've done loads of one-to-one and personal services where the treatment path looks kind of similar. The hiccups that people have look kind of similar. And even if you say to me, nope, everyone is so individual, I would argue, like I've spoken now with hundreds of business owners through my courses and programs. Every single person has a formula. You may not be able to see it because you can't see the wood for the trees sometimes on your own stuff. That's classic me. I can never see the wood for the trees on my own stuff. But you do have a formula and a pathway for people, even if it allows some flexibility in different little pathways. And it's just about figuring out what that is. But it's not so individual that everything is created from scratch. It actually never is. There will come a time when you're like, this is my expertise. This is where I get the best results helping people. And this is what gets the best results. This is the formula or the pathway. So there comes a time when you will feel like you spend all day repeating the same things over and over and over again. Where if you are at that point, you are beyond ready to have an online course or a program. If you are not at that point yet, you can definitely flesh out and figure out what your formula is, but it's by and large the same. So if you're spending all day repeating yourself, why not automate some of that and deliver it in a way that is, like we said, more convenient for people because they can do it in their own time zones. It's probably more succinct if you record that, put that into a formula, and it's likely going to follow a much better pathway because you've given the consideration and the thought to exactly how that will work for everyone. Number five, you can earn a higher revenue that is independent of time. When you are stuck in the throes of one-to-one, it's almost like you put in some, you get some. You put in some, you get some. It's very much still stuck in that equation of I work 5 hours, I get this amount of revenue. I see 5 clients, I get this amount of revenue. When you have an online course, an online program, what happens is that equation doesn't work anymore. When you create an online course, you put in a bunch of work up front. And it's really important that you validate your offer and ascertain that you have demand for your offer and figure out the pathway before putting in all of the work. So you'll do like 20% of the work up front. And then once you've established that there's good demand for that program or product, once you've got paid to create that program or product, then you put in the other 80% of the work. And that's what we call the ascertain format within Launch Easy Life. If creating an online course is something that you want to do, tune into next week's episode or come and follow me on Instagram at Launch Easy Life because we have a fun event, live event coming up very soon. So stay tuned next week because we'll announce the details on that. But what happens when you create an online course is you put in this work up front that then delivers dividends for time to come. And it's a much better equation than the one in, one out of one-to-one work. It's more like 3 in up front, 100 back. So it's a completely different way of thinking. You need to unlearn everything that you ever learnt about, like hard work. You earn money through hard work. No, you earn money through strategy in an online course or program. Number 6, it can help create consistent income. So, very much so with an online course, I find it a little bit more so than one to one, although it's still, when we have one to one clients who love providing one to one, they're like, nope, this is what I'm doing and I'm never changing. We can create with things like Facebook advertising, with a consistent marketing strategy, you can create consistent revenue. But I find that it's even more consistent when you have an online course or program and it's not just about creating an online course or program, it's about creating a marketing strategy around that that then gives you more consistent and predictable results. So if you feel like sometimes you're stuck in waves of income, all of a sudden my coaching practice is full and then all of a sudden my coaching practice is empty. And if we circle back, that might be because of the marketing that you're all in and then you get full and then you're all out. And then marketing is a lagging indicator. So then 2 months later is when it impacts you. If you have an online course or a program and you've been able to create the time in your schedule to properly strategize and market your online course, then what that does is give you back the ability to be consistent in other areas, primarily your marketing efforts, that can then give you the ability to have really consistent income because you can see what metrics you need to focus on in order to influence sales in your business. Then you can reverse engineer what that's going to look like for you. Number 7, you can become known for something. One of the things I find with one-to-one services, not exclusively, but by and large, when you have one-to-one services, there's a large part of you're a generalist. Whereas when you have something like an online course, and particularly when you have one signature course that you promote over and over and over again, you become the expert in solving that particular problem because you have the program to do it. And because you have the marketing strategy around that, you can very quickly skyrocket your authority in a particular result or a particular area. When I created my online course, the Fertility Warrior Intensive, this was where I really honed in and became known for life coaching for people navigating infertility. You have the ability to really hone in on a particular transformation and become known for a particular thing when you create an online course or program, a lot more so than when you have one-to-one coaching, even just because of the volume that you can accommodate and the testimonials that you can accommodate. This is where you really start to solidify that authority in your niche. Number 8 is you can create an ascension ladder in your business. So I'm very much a huge fan. If anyone who's been part of the mastermind or any of my other programs knows that I am a fan of riding the one horse, right? Until you have that one horse that is doing really well, like $50,000 to $100,000, you can say, check, the strategy for this is down pat. I know I can reverse engineer the numbers. I have consistent revenue and income in this. Until you're at that point, I'm very much a fan of riding the one horse. Have the one program or product, become known for the transformation that you provide in that product or service. But then what you have is once you've established that, once you've ticked all the boxes and that is ticking over really well, you have the ability to create like an ascension ladder or other programs or products in your business that if you have this like one anchor program or product, you can create things around that. So you might create lower programs or products that are slightly different. So it's not just about creating anything. Actually, we'll send you backwards if you have a lower product that solves the same problem as the higher product. So there's got to be strategy around it, but you can strategically create lower programs or products, like lower price point, $27, whatever, that lead into the main product. And then you can also create strategic upsells to solve higher level programs and products and have your clients and customers taking each next step with you. It's much easier to do that with online courses, digital courses, and programs rather than just having one-to-one and being like, do you want to continue on with me, forever and ever? So number 9 is more clients equals more potential for testimonials. When you serve more people and when you can automate the process, collecting testimonials and feedback, you have the ability, when you serve more people, you have the ability to collect more testimonials. Even if I know that, sometimes when you're a dietitian, you can't solicit testimonials, But that doesn't stop people from doing things like tagging you in their Instagram stories and saying, oh, I love, working with this person, or I'm doing this and it was great. Doesn't stop any of that happening just because you can't go out and solicit it. For many other professions, you can go out and solicit it, which means that you can very quickly build up a large testimonial bank because you're automating so much more of the delivery, you're automating the marketing, you're really putting processes around all of the different areas of your business. So you have the ability to collect way more testimonials, fuels future purchases, and fuels your authority in a particular transformation. If you're a health and wellness practitioner and you're growing your business, you know that Instagram is unrivaled in its ability to grow, connect, and convert your audience all on the one platform. But it's not just about going viral and reaching a bunch of people. It's about grabbing your Cloud9 clients' attention in a way that positions you as an authority and a service provider. Want to know exactly how to do that? I have a free PDF case study with 3 example posts that will give you an insight into 3 different types of posts you can create today to help you do just that. Check out our show notes or visit launcheasylife.com/social to get your hands on this free PDF copy today. Number 10, you can create a bigger impact in the world. Isn't that why we all started? I know that when I started my fertility business, I was so led by the fact that I was only offered a single counseling session when I'd already been going through infertility for 2 years. And I was like, that's wrong. And the counselor at the time, no shade on her, was like, stay busy. And I was like, is this a joke? By 2 years in, your big nugget of wisdom, because I already know that I already know to keep busy. Have you not got anything else for me? And I felt really called to change that. You can change that on such a larger scale when you have an online course or program. You have the ability to market that in so many ways, leverage collaborations in so many ways, leverage partnerships in so many ways that you can create a far bigger impact and ripple across the industry when you have an online course or program. Number 11, which kind of leans into different time zones, but you can work at whatever time of the day suits you. Maybe you are really good at working first thing in the morning. Maybe you're a night owl. Maybe you've got kids all day and the only time you can commit to work is, like 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. You can do that when you have an online course or program because you can leverage automations. You're not required to be live all the time. And when you have one-to-one services, you very much need to lean into the schedule of your clients. But also, when you can work at whatever time of the day suits you, gives you back your schedule. And it means that you can really concentrate on tasks without context switching. So context switching is, let's say, for example, I'm recording the podcast. If I record 5 podcasts at one time, I'm in the zone. I'm used to recording. I'm in the mind frame of speaking and recording podcasts. Then when I shut down the podcast, I go through and write the descriptions. And then I'm in the zone of writing. Whereas sometimes when you have people who you see on a one-to-one basis, you might have time to record 1 podcast. Then you have to go and meet someone. Then you come back to the description and you're like, oh, fuzzy, I don't know what I'm doing. It really starts to waste a lot of time. If you look at the statistics, I don't know exactly what they are, but they estimate that a huge amount of time is lost in a productive day from context switching. So when you can work at whatever time suits you, it gives you back that flexibility. And it also gives you the ability to take more time off without necessarily sacrificing income. Means you might be able to do things at the last minute, like go on last minute holidays. Whereas if you have people just jammed into your calendar forevermore, you've really got to plan in advance in order to be able to take time off because you've got to have people's schedules work around that. So it's much far easier to reclaim your time, to be able to do things in a way that suits you when your business primarily operates through an online course or program. Alongside that, it means you don't fall behind if you need a sick day, take a holiday, or your kids need a sick day. The biggest fuck of corporate land for me was that when my children got sick, everything got derailed. And it's the same with one to one. And I feel like sometimes when it's your own business and you're seeing people one to one, you have to cancel a one to one appointment. You then have to make that up somewhere. And what if you're already so behind in your business? What if you already have a full schedule? Where do you then put those clients in? It's just stressful. So for me, I operate best when I have a much more flexible system, when I'm not required to be live with anyone. And obviously, you're going to do podcast interviews. You're going to have certain, lives that you do, or maybe you have office hours, maybe you have a support call, whatever it is that you have. You will still have some commitments, but far less in your calendar. So you don't fall behind though, and you don't have to, catch that all up with everyone. You get so much more time back in your day and in your schedule when you have an online course, so that things like kids taking sick days doesn't feel like the end of the world. Number 13, it's easy to automate and create a wonderful experience for your clients. If you are seeing people at a one to one level, you can kind of create this as well. But when you have an online course or a program, you can really look at what are the different pathways that this person is going to learn. What is going to be a great experience for this person? What are the mindset wobbles they might have at this time? Where might they need support between the cracks? And automate it. Have it so you do it once, you go through that pathway and that experience once, and create that consistent customer service experience then for everyone. You get to go back and really systemize that and make sure you've dotted the I's and crossed the T's. Whereas we all know, if anyone here who's done one to one, if anyone out there is a perfect unicorn, then stop listening to the podcast now. But we've all been there when there's an experience that we want to create, but we are so under the pump with delivery, with seeing other people one to one, with things that are due, with things that need to go out, that we don't really deliver the experience that we had envisaged in our minds. Whereas when you have an online course or program, it's so once and done that you can really personalize that experience in a different way to one. An online course or a program is so much more predictable because you know exactly where they're at and what's going on for them. Whereas when you have a one to one client, it's not on a set timeline, it's not delivered on your terms. Sometimes they'll miss a session and you have to, factor that in. Sometimes they're going through something big. Sometimes you'll meet with them one to one and there's something's happened that you're like it's really much harder to automate. Whereas when you have an online course or program, it's far easier to reach that consistency and deliver a really exceptional experience for the people who are going through that. Number 14, your clients can work through your program in their own time. How many times have you gone to do something and just got waylaid? Or maybe you've gone on a holiday, maybe, something's happened, or you're going through a really hard time. Like, I know that for me, and I kind of had this experience for the first time this year, that when you're working with someone one to one, you really want to show up to the best of your ability. You want to really show them that you're putting in the work. But sometimes, particularly when you have kids, stuff happens. Kids get sick, and then you get to the next call with someone on a one to one level, and you're like, sorry, I didn't get through all of the things I was meant to get through because this happened. Whereas when you have an online course or program, you can be so much more gentle with people that they can work through the course or the program in their time. For some people, that's going to be whizzing through in 6 weeks. For some people, that's going to be gently going through the program and implementing bit by bit over 6 months. So you get to have that flexibility for them without that impacting your schedule whatsoever. And that's going to feel a lot better for them because they can do this at a pace that suits them so long as they keep going. And that's where, again, you can build in automations to help support them work through the curriculum at the pace that suits them, but not fall off the wagon completely. Number 15 is you can accommodate different learning styles. So it's no secret that people learn differently and that there's so much neurodiversity, particularly if you're dealing with other entrepreneurs, for example. There are some people who are better at hearing things. There are some people that are really visual learners. When you have an online course or a program, you get to diversify the way that you deliver that. And you can do that. There's some really easy ways that you can record your courses and programs so that it doesn't take a lot extra for you to do that, but you have the ability to be so much more accessible and accommodate different learning styles when you have an online course or a program, which you can't really do when you have just one-to-one services. So you get to lean more into what suits your ideal client, and what suits them is going to be the thing that helps them complete the course or the program. Completing the course or the program is what's going to help them get the transformation that they want. Number 16, it's less draining for you, particularly if you are highly empathetic. And there are definitely many things that you can do to separate your energy from your client's energy. But transference is real, that if they are feeling really low, it's hard sometimes for you to not take that on. If you meet with 4 clients in a day and they're all telling you that they're going through a really hard time, it's really hard to end your day on a high vibe. So, particularly if you're highly empathetic, when you have an online course or program, because you don't have that same level of transference, it's much easier for you to maintain your energy to show up, your energy to deliver, your energy to still create, I guess, transference in a positive way that you get to show up and support your community without that affecting your energy as much. So, particularly if you're really empathetic or even really introverted, that energy of one-to-one interaction can be so draining. You don't have that as much when there's an online course. Number 17, the last reason why creating an online course will set you free is because earning money when you sleep feels so rewarding. When you are sitting there at a cafe and you're like, oh my God, someone has just enrolled in my course or program. And I've multiple times we go away all the time. Multiple times I've been away in Denmark. And I remember once finishing a launch, everything had been automated. The emails were automated. It was all automated. So I was away in Denmark, enjoying ourselves, Denmark in Western Australia, not Denmark in Europe. But I kept seeing the sales come through from my signature program, the Fertility Warrior Intensive, and that feels really rewarding. People are believing in you, people want to work with you, and people are able to get started on the course or the program straight away without it being dependent on when you come back from holiday, from when you come back from a coffee. They get to enroll instantly and start getting results instantly, while you get rewarded for the upfront work that you did in creating the product or the service. Like I said at the start of this episode, the absolute best stage of my business by far has been the stage when I've had one single signature online course in my business and had so much time freedom. It was such a super fun experience. And that's sort of where we're headed back to in my business now, which is why so many changes to the Mind Body Fertility Reset brand. But I encourage you to really have a think and get behind the type of business that you want to create going forward. And by the end of the year, it is so possible for you. And if that is creating an online course or program, stay tuned because we have something exciting to announce next week. Thank you for listening in today, and I cannot wait to speak to you on the next episode. We are done with the meat and potatoes of this episode, but I am not letting you go just yet, my friend. Before you jump off, I have 3 quick things that I would love to share with you. Number 1 is thank you so much for listening today. If you'd like to hear more about growing your visibility through Instagram, podcasting, or Pinterest, creating or launching or growing your signature program, automations, or many more online business nuggets of gold, pause now, hit that subscribe button because we are here for you weekly. Number 2 is if you would like to learn more about working with us and joining our signature program, the Well-Conceived Mastermind, which is unlike any mastermind you've seen before, check out our show notes below and you will find all the links to join the waitlist or sign up and join the mastermind now. And number 3, lastly, if you do nothing else, make sure you come and find us on Instagram for daily behind the scenes and hugely savable and value-packed content. You will find us at Launch Easy Life. Well, that's it from me today. Now go out there and create your well-paid business and your well-lived life.